Hello, and welcome to episode 181 of Gamers of the Lost Spark podcast. I'm your host, Stuart Burgess, and joining me as always is the other spark on the pod, Mr. Stephen Carter. How are you, Steve?
I'm very good this week, mate. Thank you. How are you?
I am very good, my friend. I'm a bit tired, as we were talking about on WhatsApp yesterday. I've had a mental week, which has included going lots of places in the car, my van letting me down, and fabric wrapping a cinema, which absolutely killed me yesterday. So apologies if anybody watching this video looks at me and goes, my God, he looks knackered, because I am. I'm just glad it's a bank holiday weekend.
Yeah, you get a long weekend off. You put me to shame working from home, sitting my backside all week, mate. So hats off to you, being on your feet and being a busy boy this week.
Yeah, I've certainly burnt some calories off. I think at one point my watch turned around to me yesterday and went, "Nice run, Stuart. You spent 75 minutes running." And I'm like, I wasn't running.
It felt like it, but I wasn't. But no, I must admit, I think I said to you in a message, like, I am really jealous of your handiwork and being able to do these things. But my old boss in my old job used to be able to like build and construct things, and it was like, it's a blessing and a curse. Like, it's great being able to do it, but also you just end up doing everything. So it's great, but also not. So I do wish I had the DIY skills that you do, mate. I am clueless when it comes to that sort of stuff.
Well, what's funny is you won't be able to see it on camera, but if you you can. If you look at my
He's got scars. He's got wounds to prove it.
Yeah, you look at my knuckles, it's just like it's because when you're doing the old fabric wrapping and that, your knuckles are scraping against whatever surface is near you. So I always say I put a bit of blood into every cinema I build, and in this case there literally is blood somewhere in that cinema room. Luckily the ceiling's been repainted, so
yeah, you don't leave it there as a bit of a token gesture.
Right, so getting on to the podcast, I just thought I'd do another quick points update.
Here we go.
It's not a massive difference, but I just thought it's a good way of showing, actually, if you play some games, and if you do the big things every day, actually it does sort of build up, because it's been exactly 2 weeks since we podded, because again we're podding on a Saturday night. So my current total, my previous total was 718,704. And my current total is 726,271. So what's that? That's $8,000.
8,000 in 2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, 8,000 in 2 weeks, which actually equates to, not a huge amount, but equates to about £6. So, the last time we did it, the total was around £579 and some change, and this time it's £585 and some change. So it is about £6 or £7 more than we had last time. So it just goes to show, just by and as we'll get onto, I've really not played any games in the last week because I've been so busy, but just by doing your dailies, trying to do the Bing app and bits and pieces like that, they really, really do build up. Yes, I still need 141,598, but we've made a kink. We're another $8,000 into that total. I will get there by holiday 2027.
Yeah, and this is the thing. It's like, obviously, like, you've got a routine. You log on, you do these things, and da-da-da. But again,
man, have I got a routine? Yes.
But again, if you just get into that little routine and rhythm of, you jump on the app, you do the Bing things, you play a Game Pass game for 15 minutes a day, you get your monthly 4-pack, your monthly 8-pack. You are just playing games, So if you do just play games and make the use of your Game Pass, it is paying just to play things. Like you say, doesn't sound a lot, but to say, well, I earned £6 in 2 weeks to do something that I just enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you're not really putting any effort in, are you? Do you know what I mean? Like you say, you've not really caned it the last 2 weeks. That's probably minimal effort. So if you put more in, you could probably get a lot more out as well.
Yeah, well, I think I said on the last pod, basically, I just, like when you go to the shop and you buy your lunch and you end up buying a sandwich, a pack of crisps, a bar of chocolate, and a drink. I sort of like, I get up in the morning and I put the coffee on, I let the dog out, I sit on the sofa, and just instinctively I put the TV on, I switch it over to the Xbox, I turn the Xbox on, put it on a game so it gets my 15 minutes of Game Pass stuff, and then basically I then pick up Bing and just do my Bing dailies, and then little things just like using Bing on your phone rather than Google. It just, you can unlock, I don't know, well, I think it's something between 200 and 300 points a day. And then one of the games you're playing, Mouse PI, when you buy that, I think they gave you 1,000 or 1,200 points for buying that. Well, it did for me anyway. It flashed up saying, you've got 1,200 points. These will be in your account in 2 days.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I saw that. I'm gonna be fuming if I haven't got that. I didn't see anything. I'll be furious if not.
I know, because it comes up. I'll see if I can put the message on the screen, because I clipped it. I don't think I put it on the group, but every time I buy anything, Xbox messages me saying, Stuart, you've collected 555 points. You can redeem some points now and get some Xbox vouchers. And I'm just like, they're really desperate for me to spend these bloody points.
Just spend them. I might have done, to be fair, because I must admit, I mean, my tally is obviously incredibly low compared to yours. But I must admit, I did notice that mine had jumped a little bit, which I might have got the bonus points, but I just assumed that I'd got it because I'd done the 8-pack, the 4-pack, I'd done the 7-day challenge, I'd done the play on a console challenge, so I'd done quite a lot last month.
Yeah.
I might have got the bonus points to buy Mouse PI. I hope I did, and I haven't missed out. But I mean, I'm still on a lowly 8,945, so I'm 72% of the way through my £10 voucher. So I almost chipped my £5 voucher in for Mouse PI, but I was like, no, I'm going to get the tenner. I've said I'll get to the next £10 voucher, so I'm sticking to it. So I will stick in it. So I finished, like I say, I finished all the 8-pack and 4-pack and everything last month, so I'm going to do it again this month. So
yeah. Oh, of course, yes. It's the beginning of May, isn't it? So yeah, that's all going again. Oh, yes. I better not use the same Game Pass game every day. I better mix it up a bit.
Yeah, but I must admit I did what you did the other night. Just flicked some on the iPad. I think it was the Trepang 2, which intrigues me. Which I'm hoping to play that once I finish Mouse PI and things that we'll talk about in a couple of weeks, hopefully. But I just stuck that on, left it for 15 minutes, and it was the last game I needed for my 8-pack. So I was like, winner. So, like I say, just for the sake of leaving it there playing, I got, what is it, 520, 560, something like that? You get
something like that. Yeah,
for your 8-pack. So again, it's literally just points for nothing.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, you're playing games. So I'm just trying to look now. So it is 560. So 560 for an 8-pack. 80 for a 4-pack. That's a big difference. And then
if you do the streak, that builds up as well. Because my streak, I think it started again, but I'm on 4 days out of 7. My 5 days is 240 at the minute. Next week that multiplies by 4 if you complete it. Then 6 days is 60, and then 7 days is 120. So even if you just do that and then do it into the next week, you're getting a 4 times multiplier on that. So doing that every week will clock it up.
Yeah, so I've got 5 days is plus 320, and next week 4 times. 6 days is an extra 80, and then on 7 days I get 300. So yeah, it does soon build up. So especially when you've got that monthly multiplier. So talking about games, what have you been playing whilst I've been playing nothing until today?
Whilst you've been busy working and I clearly haven't, so is what you get to say. So we touched on Replaced the other week in the last pod. So that is now done and dusted. So I did a little review about that on Instagram and TikTok. So I ended up quite enjoying that, actually, Stu. Maybe I was a bit harsh on it to start with by saying, it was okay. Maybe I was being a bit harsh about it. Like, in the end, like, I think I understood it more towards the end. Like, and I don't know if that's because I was paying more attention towards the end or not. I'm not sure. But the story kind of made more sense as I got towards the end of it. And it kind of made it feel a bit more, not real, but obviously it just kind of had a bit more of an emotional hook to it by the time he got to the end. So I wouldn't say it was one of them gut-wrenching stories, but again, it kind of made you consider things a little bit. So ultimately, the AI that the company is working on that takes over this person's body, and the AI controls a human's body to ultimately destroy itself to stop the AI taking over, and blah, blah, blah. And obviously, in the world of AI becoming, well, pretty much everything at the moment, again, it has a bit of significance, a bit of relevance, and it had a bit of that human touch to it that this AI incorporation were going around and taking over and killing people and, overriding people and things. So, yeah, it had a bit more of a human connection towards the end. I finished that, really enjoyed it. I'm glad I saw it through. It did drag, I'll say, towards the end a little bit, which I mentioned in the review, is that the combat didn't change very much, and I feel like it got a bit overwhelming at times. Like, it plonked a lot of enemies in quite a small arena.
Well, it always, at the beginning, you were right at the beginning you were doing 6 minimum, weren't you? Literally
Yeah.
from the get go. So
Yeah, that's it. And then you get some other ones. You get people that can shoot at you. They can throw things that can trap you. You get the armored guys, then you have to do the heavy attack to then break their armor before you can then attack them. So you do get other bits and things, like you get a pistol. You do get other ways to counter that and things. But I played it on easy, like I pretty much play all my games at the minute, just because I haven't got the time to be repeating things, and I just play it on easy for an easy ride. I'm not gonna lie, but even that, I wouldn't want to try out on a harder difficulty setting. I must admit, because and again, maybe that's because I was cloud streaming it. Sometimes the prompts felt a little bit out of time. You felt like you pressed it and it didn't work, and then you were getting your backside kicked. So whether that was just because there was a bit of a lag with the cloud gaming, I'm not sure. But yeah, the combat did get a bit tiring and overwhelming towards the end. The puzzling, again, it didn't have much in terms of like extra beyond the puzzling, but I really liked the hacking mechanic in it. So it's almost like a little game of Tetris. So you had, like, obviously you've got your little Walkman or mobile device, whatever it was that you had, and it's like it gave you a puzzle and you have to find the missing piece for what that, and you have to do that 3 times. And I actually quite liked that. I hadn't necessarily seen that before. So yeah, so I like that, and it had a really nice look to it, a really nice feel to it. So again, as we keep mentioning, for something that's quote unquote free, as part of Game Pass, I'm glad I played it. It got better towards the end, I think, as the story sort of enveloped you a bit more, but albeit the mechanics didn't necessarily change. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Glad I played it. So that was polished off. And then another Game Pass game that I played, for another one following Anthony's recommendation. Because
I was
Anthony
going to say this is another.
yeah.
Actually, all of these are Anthony's recommendations,
much,
aren't they?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. He seems to be our resident Game Pass. Yeah, go try this, and then we do, and then we end up enjoying things. So he had become addicted to vampire crawlers. And I did a brief bit of a look into it. I was like, oh, yeah, but again, for the sake of Game Pass, for the monthly 4-pack and the 8-pack, I was like, right, we'll give it a go. And I was hooked, like, from the first go. Like, it's a spin-off of, the name escapes me now.
Vampire Survivors.
Vampire Survivors, yes, that's it. So again, it's got the same look and feel of Vampire Survivors. So again, much like Replaced, it's got that old school, maybe sort of Mega Drive vibe to it. Top-down look for Vampire Survivors, but this is more of a card. It's weird. It's like such an amalgamation of different games and different mechanics. So you walk around in this sort of first-person 2D sort of in betweeny world, almost a bit like Doom for back in the day.
Yeah.
And then you're on like a set map. Like there's a set map, and you can go backwards, forwards, left and right. So again, you can't really free walk around, but you're kind of on rails, but in certain directions. You find little monsters that are just in the wild. You battle them, but you've got a deck of cards. So you have a deck of cards that have a power for them, an amount of mana. So each turn you have, let's say, 4 mana. You get a hand of cards. Some cards cost no mana. Some are 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And then obviously once you run out of your mana, unless you've got a free card, you can't go. You build a deck. You build your hand, and each time you play a level. So there's like a village, there's a castle, there's a bridge. Each one's got different like levels, so you like descend into a different level of that level. But once you die, that's it. You have to back out and start again. And it's very much you go on runs of these things. So you go on a run, and you either finish the run, you complete it, you get to the end, you finish the boss, descend, and then the Grim Reaper comes and finishes you off, and you finish and you've completed it.
So very like the original game, really, isn't it? Because Vampire Survivors was that, wasn't it? It was like you played it and you got up to, I know, level 80 or whatever, and then you're down, you're back to the beginning. Okay, what did I do wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Let's start again, and then you just try and go further and further and further.
Yeah, and it was in our group chat, and I think James mentioned, is it a bit like Slay the Spire, which I have not played, but Anthony said in comparison to Slay the Spire, it's similar in terms of how it plays, but the runs are a lot shorter. So like with Slay the Spire, you could be on a run that would last an hour. This could last 10 minutes or so. You know, again, if you go back to the other levels and you've powered up and you've got to handle with it, you can whiz through these levels, the early levels especially. But again, there are tactics to it, because obviously certain enemies do certain amounts of damage. They come in waves, and they're in different phases or levels almost. So the front line will attack. You can knock enemies back. You can stop them from attacking, and so on and so forth. So yeah, so it is, you get into that nature of, just have one more. I'll have one more go. I'll do one more run.
It was funny when you said I can't think what it was now, but you were gonna do some work, and I think I think we were talking about something, and you were like, I might just have a couple of goes on Fortnite and just look at the new whatever of they were doing at that time, and then Anthony was sort of talking about the vampires game, was talking about vampires crawlers, and you're like, no, it's all right. I'll play some Fortnite because I've got to get to work. I've got to do some work. Log on that. And then I must have gone off for dinner or something like that. I don't know. And then I just came back and read the thread, and it was just like, what have I done? Oh my God, what have I done? I am addicted to this thing. Anthony, what have you done to me?
It was, but it's just that thing is like, I will just have one more go, I'll do it, and da-da-da. But then, like you say, you get defeated in that run. Yeah, right, I'm going to go back and do it. Like, I will go back, and you go back to the main area. You can buy boosts so you can have more health, more armor, more mana, that sort of thing. You can change the character who comes along and helps you, so you get a different boost and different perks from that character that you can play the card for. So again, there are different ways you can play this. You can tweak it a little bit to make it work, and you get different boosts. You can get different cards, so you get ones that like your armor will carry. Because again, per turn, if you build your armor up every turn, that'll go back to whatever the base setting of your armor level is. So, for example, if you start on 2, you build it up to 10, it'll drop down to 2 on your next draw of cards. But you can get boosts that will say your armor rolls over, your mana rolls over, that sort of thing. So again, you can tweak how you play it, and again, you can go back to different levels and say, right, well, it didn't work doing this, so next time I'll do this and see if it works. You go collect coins, you can buy some more boosts and some more some more levels and things. So yeah, so it really is. It's almost that it almost plays the addictive nature of collecting, grinding, because it's so fast paced, and I think I made a joke about it that it appeals to that. I also like my TikTok brain of that it's somewhat short, it's quick, it's instant. Just you feel like you're going through it again and again and again. It's like I don't have to grind. I'm not going at something for hours that makes me go, I really can't be bothered again. It's like, right, that took me 5 minutes. Right, I'll go again. I'll go again.
I've got time.
Yeah, exactly. And it just goes and goes and goes. So anyone that likes roguelike games, card-based games, strategy games, anything like that sort of remotely sounds appealing to you, anything that's short hit, that's short, quick fix, albeit you might be playing it for quite a few hours, but again, just as a pick up and play game, again, perfect for Game Pass, perfect for cloud gaming, ROG, handheld, anything like that is perfect for that. And again, a bit like Replaced, it just shows you that you don't need big, fancy, shiny games to keep you playing for hours on end. As long as it's got something there, a draw, a hook, you don't need it. Do you know what I mean? And it works, and it just keeps coming back for more.
Well, I think some of them, it's like, as you say, your big shiny games, your GTA's, your Cyberpunks, your Call of Duties. There's a lot of money, and obviously we get onto one of those stories in the news, but there's a lot of money spent on those games. Hundreds and hundreds of millions, and you do sometimes feel, especially if I can say we like Call of Duty, I sometimes feel like, oh, when am I going to get over this? When am I going to get to the end? I feel like I want to complete it. But then you do have games like, Vampire Crawlers, which I'm scared to go into. I downloaded it, but I'm scared to go into it. I have not got the time. But then I've pretty much balls that up with one of the games I started playing today. But it is good because it's one of those games that you could just go into and you don't have much expectations of it, like Moonshot that I had last week or the week before or whatever. Just a nice simple game that you could just dip in and dip out, and you don't have to sit there for hours playing it. You can play a bit before work, as you do. You can stop and have your break and have your lunch, and play a couple more, and you can just dip in and dip out without having to think, oh, I've got to get to a save point.
Exactly. And even though there's not really much of a continuation for this either for Vampire Crawlers, it's one of them things that you could not play it for a couple of days if you manage to put it down, come back to it, and it still just makes as much sense as what it did when you played it if you continue playing it. So again, because there's not really that much story apart from being in that little world, there's not really that much of a continuation. You can just go back to the old levels, the new levels, and carry on. So again, it is just that element of pick up and play that you do get from it. So yeah, it's just a great little game that, again, it's one of those things that I would never have tried if it hadn't been for Game Pass. So again, it's
And
just
Anthony.
an Anthony, yeah. So double whammy. Thank you for that.
Well, I did hear that I can't remember the name of the guy who did it now, but there are quite a lot of spin-offs in the sort of like works for the vampire sort of survivor games, whether they're spin-off games like Vampire Crawlers or they're sort of like affiliations, guest appearances in other games. So they certainly built a nice little platform there.
Yeah.
So no, I mean, yeah, as I said, I've downloaded it onto the Xbox. It was sitting there looking at me this morning when I'm thinking, what shall I play? So I've got something different. Well, admittedly, the only reason I didn't play that, and I didn't play the next game you're going to talk about, and I didn't play Replaced, was because I wanted to talk about something different that I've played, even if it's only a little bit, than what we for last few pods we've played similar stuff like Fortnite and Replaced and bits and pieces like that. So I saw it there this morning and I'm like, no, I'm not going to go into that because I don't want to, because we'll talk about that on the pod, and I'm also scared to start it because I don't want to get addicted to it.
Are we going to talk about Fortnite tonight, Stu? Like, we've got
we
on
are.
the agenda. So are we going to circle back round to
Yeah,
that? We're going to make him wait for it.
Sorry, no, we are going to touch on Fortnite, but in a different way, not in our normal Fortnite way. So you can get excited for that, Anthony. Pause it now. Go and get yourself a beer or a coffee, depending on what time of day you're listening to this. We're going to go on to another one with Steve, and then we're going to get onto some Fortnite. So I just, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 minute warning. So what else have you been playing, which Anthony has also been playing, Steve?
Yes, so this one wasn't Game Pass. This one was actually a purchase. So Mouse PI for hire. So again, Anthony had said that he'd bought it and played it. He'd been excited about this for weeks. This was kind of one of his highlights.
I hadn't noticed.
No. It was basically like, oh, this is coming. I can't wait. I was like, and I'd been aware of it because obviously this had been in development a while, but obviously Disney had lost their rights to, is it Steamboat Mickey, which is kind of based off like the old school black and white.
Steamboat Willie, isn't it?
Yeah. So again, this is kind of based off that old school black and white hand drawn Mickey Mouse style, which they've obviously been able to do now with Free Reign because Disney somehow don't have the rights to it anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's obviously been about in terms of obviously been showcased and things, and I've always sort of kept an eye thinking, that would be quite cool, that. But yeah, so it's £24.99, 25 quid on Xbox. So I ummed and ahed because obviously I'm just that stereotypical tight Yorkshireman. Was like, it's 25 quid. Should I, shouldn't I? Should I, shouldn't I? And eventually I relented, like, yes, because it'll be worth it, and I just like ended up buying it. And Anthony's not stopped talking about it, so let's jump in. So, and I'm really, really glad I did, because again, we both collectively said at the time, it's not on Game Pass, it's not a physical release, so we can't get it again, quote unquote free. I can't rent it through Boomerang, a subscription service, so we just have to bite the bullet and do it. So, but yeah, I'm really glad that I did, because it's such a charming and witty game that is just a perfect, I say perfect representation, a perfect mouse-inspired representation of that era of America, that mafia gangs, 1920s, 30s era, gangs ruling the place. Obviously, you're a private detective, you take on a case. As these things always do, it becomes evident that there's more to it, and you start unraveling it, unravels a little bit more. And obviously it ends up in this big case that you didn't expect it to be to start with. But I think I said to you, it's almost like it gives me Duke Nukem vibes from the N64 in terms of how it plays,
right.
Just purely because it's that first person shooter style. You've got a shotgun that's called a boomstick, which obviously Duke Nukem calls his shotgun his boomstick. You can kick people. You can kick people, so you get the little big boot that you can kick people. But again, it's that. The worlds are really nicely created, I will say that. So you've got these 3D environments where you can roam around, but all the characters are flat 2D. But as you pan round, they move round with you. So whatever way you're facing, the front always faces you. And again, that's very much what that Duke Nukem was in the N64. So they just sort of spin round on the floor, but you'd always see the front of the enemy. So when they collapse and die, there's just a heap on the floor, and then obviously that sort of thing. So yeah, so it gave me that sort of vibe. But it's got Troy Baker that is the main character. So he voices the main character, and he's got loads of personality. The voice acting is really good. All the characters that you go and interrogate or question are a part of the main story. They've all got a really good script. They've all got a really good acting behind them, and it's just a change. You know what I mean? It's just a change. So it plays very much like any other first-person shooter. Really, you've got your variety of guns from like your pistol, your shotgun. You get a Tommy gun. I've just unlocked a cannon. So like fires old school like cannonballs out.
Nice.
And something called a devarnisher, which basically fires out acid that burns and then melts people. So again, and you've got different type of enemies that pop out. You've got your small fry ones that come and hit you with batons. There's one that comes and blow up. You've got the big bouncers that take a little bit more, taking down snipers from afar. So there's nothing I'd say that's overly new or different about it. And I think sometimes the combat, the enemies do tend to just run at you and flock at you and try and overwhelm you in some respects. So sometimes you are just literally just mowing them down as they run towards you. But again, it's just such a well written game that everything is based around cheese. And like a smuggling cheese, so like
Right.
obviously in the
It's
like
obviously
Prohibition America,
Prohibition era, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So like Prohibition America, obviously underground bootleggers and things. This is very much of that nature of cheese, different strengths of cheese, different types of cheese, smuggling. Bars serve cheese; they don't serve booze.
So are you finding clues and then you follow the clues to another part of the map, or
Yeah, basically, yeah. So you start off, like I say, you go and investigate these areas that you get, and it's very much it's not open world, but obviously the levels lead you to where you need to be. It's not necessarily that it leaves you to go find it, but again, you play through these different environments. You play through like a movie theater, a dockyard, basements, sewers, train station, subway station, that sort of thing. And then that basically furthers your investigation. You put it on the old school pinboard with the pieces of string
right?
to connect
Okay.
all the leads. Then you can solve the lead, and then that leads you to the next bit. I really like the map. So when you go from the area to area, it basically opens the map. It shows you that this place is now unlocked. And you drive your little car out. So you got a little car and you drive it around to your next little destination. I don't know what it is about that, but it's just quite cool that rather than just being a perfunctory list of you know areas or
Yeah.
POIs, you don't just select it. You drive around to your little destination, you select it, and then you jump in, and then you jump. And at the end of each level is either like there's a phone that you go back to the your office with, or you go back to your car and then you drive away and go back to your office. So again, it kind of links in and ties in. But yeah, it's just a nice little game. It's again you get overwhelmed by the enemies, which again I'm playing it on. Would you call it medium level? There's a 3 levels, and I played it on the medium setting rather than the easy setting. And again, the enemies can swarm you a little bit, so you can get a bit overwhelmed with that. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm really, really enjoying it. And yet again, Anthony's come through with an absolute sterling recommendation.
Excellent. No, it does sound. I mean, it's all. I'll put some clips up of the game that you sent me, but it's all black and white, and it's all sort of
Mm-hmm.
cartoony graphics. So it does look really, really nice. So again, it probably would have been the one I jumped into this morning, but I decided no, let's just try and mix it up a little bit. So the first one I saw the other day was a game called Aphelion. It's by Don't Nod. So it appealed to me this morning because it's a bit of a walk-in stroke climbing simulator type game. So I just fancied something which I could just basically. I didn't really want to have to think about much this morning. I just
Mm.
like I woke up early. I played a little bit of this. Took my daughter kickboxing. Came back and played a bit more. But I'll read a little bit from Don't Nod's website. So it basically goes: hunted on a frozen planet. You are an astronaut that must brave the rugged landscapes of shifting realities to rescue her wounded partner Thomas. This action-packed sci-fi adventure blends exploration, traversal, and tense stealth gameplay. So basically, you start off in a ship. It's 2060, and basically the Earth has become uninhabitable. And it starts off with you and your fellow astronaut. For some reason, there's only 2 of you, which is weird because it's a massive ship. But you basically start off on this ship, and you're going towards this planet to look for a heat source to basically see if it can be a planet that humanity can go to. I think I'm right in thinking that it was done in partnership with the European Space Agency, because all of the stuff that the guys are wearing in it have got the European Space Agency's official logo on it. But as far as I've got in it, basically what you do is you crash on the planet. You then have to escape the ship. So you basically walk here and you open the door, and then it takes you straight into one of those sequences where you slide and you've got to sway from left to right to avoid the obstacles, and then you eventually land on the planet, and then you're literally, was it Jusant? There was a climbing game. I can't remember if that was Don't Nod, but there was a climbing game out recently where you were just basically this character and you were just climbing up the side of a cliff face, and then eventually you got up to the top and the whole story made sense. But it basically is just watch a snippet, watch a scene, walk from A to B, climb up this, jump across there, and it's just a nice thing you really don't have to think about, and you just sort of read the story. There is one mechanic which I really like, and I don't think you've seen it before, but you have to walk across ice. So there's massive, it's not lakes of ice, but if you can imagine a lake of ice, but there's nothing underneath it. And depending on how fast you walk across it, depends on whether the ice breaks beneath your feet or not. So you sort of creep across it, and it just adds another different dynamic into it. I've sort of got probably about an hour or so into it, maybe 2 hours into it, and she's just discovered, because you've got separated from your partner. You wake up after the crash and he's gone. And then you suddenly find these strands throughout the planet leading back to this central point. And she walks into one of these strands, and then she sees this figure, which she thinks is her partner. And then you go on a little bit, and it is her partner, but she can't hear him and he can't hear her, but they can see each other. So you're just on this, frozen planet, and you're trying to find each other. And yeah, I've heard mixed results from, I think IGN gave it something like 5 out of 10, but then I heard someone else who gave it 9.5 out of 10. So for me, it's the perfect game for me this morning, which was like, I just wanted to chill out, have a cup of tea, just play something that I didn't really have to think about, but kept me entertained.
Yeah, and I'm just watching on YouTube just some of the gameplay whilst you've been talking, and it looks like it's very much taking a lot of inspiration from some sort of the platforming games, like Uncharted, Assassin's Creed, with the climbing and the exploration, that sort of thing. But maybe a bit Death Stranded as well in terms of just looking at how it plays, maybe. But yeah, it's nice that you can have these games where you can maybe just switch off a little bit, and that the story's there, but it's not so fast paced or Twitch. You don't need your Twitch reactions and things to be firing back at people and worried about getting your head taken off or what have you. So it does, look at it. It looks just like something that, just like you say, to play on a Saturday morning or something, just to break you in gently to the day or what have you, just something a bit quiet. It just looks like just a bit of gentle exploration around a frozen planet, which who doesn't want that on a weekend morning?
Yeah, actually, I was just looking. Actually, so Jusant was developed by their French studio, Don't Nod. So, if you played Jusant, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, first of all, if you haven't played it, play it, because it was a bloody brilliant game. It came out, it's an action puzzle climbing game. It was released in October 2023, and it's a very similar game in respects of it just has the climbing mechanics, and there's an underlying story going on, which is quite good. And yeah, for me, this was just, I liked it because it was something I wanted to play. So, so I played that, and then as I was saying to you, I decided to I just wanted to stop because I just wanted to turn my brain off. So when I made myself a drink and I came back in the lounge and I had a drink and I was watching something on TV. I was watching BBC about Artemis, about the moon trip that just happened, or the fly around the moon. And then I found myself falling asleep, and then I'm like, oh no, I want to watch this. So I stopped that, and then of course, fatal error, I then woke up, and then I'm sitting there in the lounge going, oh, okay, what am I going to do? Oh, I'll carry on watching the Artemis thing. So I carried on watching the Artemis thing. Then all of a sudden, I remember the trailer that that Fortnite put out. Sorry, Anthony. That Fortnite put out. Here we go. Here we go. Set your watches. Skip forward 5 to 20 minutes now. If it's like an ad break. If you basically if you looked at any Fortnite stuff, obviously we've got May the 4th coming up on Monday. And Fortnite always do some related stuff. I mean, it's Mother's Day in America, I think, this Sunday, I think. So, like, they've put out all the female characters of, like, Family Guy, you know, the mum, and Bob's Burgers, the mum. And they always do stuff like this. And always around this year, they bring back Star Wars content. So, but they brought in 3 games. They brought in Escape Vader, Galactic Battle, I think it is, and then they brought one in called Droid Tycoon. And in our chat the other day, I put, if they make BB-8 or BD-1 or any of the little droids a sidekick in Fortnite, just take my cash. And then we did have that very, very funny conversation of Anthony going, so what does the sidekick do in Fortnite? And you just came straight back with, just gives away your location.
Yeah, not a lot actually.
Yeah. And then James comes in and goes and takes your money. But that gave me a thought actually. I did think actually if they do bring any of the droids into Fortnite, any of the droids that shoot, let's say R2-D2, something like that, they should allow them to shoot in the game. So there should be another weapon or side weapon in the game or something like that.
Well, it's no different from when you hire a companion, is it? Because they can fire, albeit they're not very much use, but still, it's just the same, surely.
Yeah, again, and they give way. So I always makes me laugh in Fortnite. You're crouching behind a rock, waiting to shoot someone, and your guy's just out by the side of the rock, going, "Hello, I'm here." He's hiding down there. Yeah. So one of the levels they did, which sort of like piqued my interest, was Droid Tycoon, and for the last sort of probably since we started the pod, I've been dabbling in a couple of games which are tycoony. So, you know, Planet Coaster 2. I've just been wanting to try and find something that I could just whittle away my time on and just sort of like, not necessarily grind, but do something that gets you somewhere, that gives you something that is just sort of like rewarding. So, and this thing is very bloody rewarding. So it's a bit confusing because when you go into it and you are your Fortnite character. So I'm Spider-Man at the moment. Thank you very much. So so you go into your character and you're Spider-Man, and then you basically have these sections. You have like this plot of sand, and you go up and you basically build like a mining station. And then you build a droid station, and then you build a like a flying area, and then you build a shooting area. And fundamentally, the idea is that you basically are mining scrap, and then you mine the scrap, and you hit the scrap with your axe, like you do in Fortnite when you want to hit a wall or something like that. And then so you do the scrap, it adds up, it adds up, it adds up. But what you do is you slowly unlock areas. So you unlock an area where your droids will start smashing things up for you. So you basically unlock an area for one droid. So you go to this like carousel and you basically buy a droid. And there are different droids. So there are galactic droids, there are utility droids, and there are shooting droids. And so you get a utility droid and you put it in this area, and then it has a rating of how much it costs and how much money it can make you per second or per minute. I think it's per second. And it basically just drips feeds you. So you've got to do these tasks to do this, like unlock the next part of your base, and that now allows you to put another droid in and another droid in and another droid in. And you just get to this point where you go, right, okay, so I've got 4 droids mining or smashing stuff up. I've got 3 droids or 4 droids like shooting practice, and then I've got 2 droids doing flying off missions, and I've got 2 droids basically doing something else. I'm not sure what. So they're all earning you like money. So you can have no money and then go around and collect all your money and then have 1,000 credits or 1,000,000 credits. And what's really bloody addictive about it is that it just feeds you enough to basically go, okay, so if you unlock these characters to do this, you can unlock your next part of your base. So you unlock next part of your base. But then you're sort of like waiting for something to happen, like for something to unlock or a timer to go down. And then so you sort of think, okay, so at the moment I've got 4 droids there all breaking up, recycling or scrapping. 2 of them are, let's say, 100 credits per second, and 2 of them are 50 credits per second. So I need to go and buy 2 more droids, which are higher than 50 credits per second. So you end up going to the conveyor belt and you watch these things go round and you go, right, I'll buy that one. And it's almost like we were talking before the show. It's almost like you pick up a Pokemon card, you take it back into your base, you throw it onto this machine, and this machine will generate this droid for you. And it just sort of like that sort of drip feeds to you the game. But then you can sort of go outside your base and there's little challenges around, there's little things you could do, and there's little upgrades, and it's nothing special really. It's not a special game. It's like a creator fed game or led game, but I think it is an epic game. But it is just really bloody addictive.
Yeah, and I'm just watching some clips of it. It's almost like obviously like a tycoon, but like a third person perspective of it. So rather than being on a mobile and a top down of being like the overlord or the overseer, you're very much just running around and doing bits and bobs. And it's almost like you're creating is it the Jawas in Star Wars that are like they sell the droids and the big land crawler and the sand crawler and what have you. It's almost like you're building like a little world of that, isn't it? Like you say there's the things like the cards or the tokens spinning around the the giant crawler and things. So yeah, it does look like very much something that, again, just like that mobile game addiction of, oh, I just need to do that, and you need to grind to do this, and then sometimes you need to leave things, or I need to come back in a couple of hours and pick it up. It very much just looks like you say, you keep your character as well, which I think is that maybe that brings people in, that it's like, oh, I get to take so and so in it, and it feels like it's yours rather than I'm playing as whatever random Star Wars character you might do. But it does very much look like a thing that is just like, it's going to vie for your attention of, oh, I need to go back and do those quests for today, or I need to go back and make sure that's finished, or see how my droids are getting on. Have they done the tasks that I set them out to do?
And it does it. So from a Fortnite player point of view, my God, your levels go up really quickly within it. So, you do still get the leveling that you get from playing a Fortnite game.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so, and obviously you are unlocking like a certain amount of points in a creator-led game, rather, stuff you wouldn't get by playing the main, quotation, main Fortnite games. But it's quite good because like I've just found the website, PC Gamer did a good thing on it earlier. And, and it does little things like it's got like companion perks. So you can have a companion like a droid with you, and that droid will give you some more crafting abilities, or that will give you more, will allow you to get more scrap better. It then has, different sort of side quests. So there are some stormtrooper bases around you. So if you go and attack those, it unlocks a reward. So that can be, points. That can be these little computer chips which you use to upgrade your droids. And then that's it. It's called Rebirth. So what you do, so like the one I've got here in front of me is Rebirth rank 1 they've got here. So it's have 10,000 K in credits. It's unlock I can't see, it's too small, unlock a C8 and a PH and a DRK1 probe droid. Sort of had that in your sort of like your sort of base, and then you can do a rebirth. And then when you do a rebirth, it unlocks another level within your sort of tycoon bit. And then you go on and it gets more. When I got to rank 3 or 4, the only thing I found a bit annoying about that was it took ages for one of the droids I wanted to sort of come up. But yeah, I mean, it's got just loads of little bits and pieces, and then it's got a BB-8 event coming in 8 days. Well, it's basically so it's next Sunday. It's probably next Sunday about 4:00 in the afternoon UK time. But they're basically, it's got here BB-8 event. As you expand your base and reach higher rebirth levels, you can start chasing down the rarest droids in the game. That includes BB-8, who only appears during, you guessed it, the BB-8 event. There's a huge countdown timer in the center of the map for this one. Set yourself a reminder. So I'm not sure what's going to happen, and I'm hoping that it will be a case of that you'll unlock BB-8 and then you can have him in the main game.
This is your BB-8 companion coming to fruition, Stu.
Well, that's what I think, because I mean, I've not jumped into the other two games yet, so I've not jumped to Escape Vader and the other game, but I think what's quite nice if they could do it is to do some way where, if you play Save the World, you were unlocking some skins for the Battle Royale game. So I think, it would be nice to be, like, I don't know, it would be nice to have, a skin or a sidekick in the main game, and, and it's just a little reward for you playing that game, basically. So,
yeah.
So it is good. It is really, really good. I mean, I want to go and finish the podcast and play it now because I want to see how much money my droids have made, because I think they do continue to make money whilst you're offline. But so no, I would recommend it. I might try and jump into some of the others tomorrow, but just a word of warning. Not wasted. I suppose if you go back to our doom scrolling Instagram where you go, my God, where did those 45 minutes go? Or like on TikTok, as people tell me, this was one of those ones which I started playing at about 1:00, and then I looked at my watch and went, oh, bugger, it's 5:00. I need to do dinner because I've got a pod with Steve in an hour.
Is it wasted if you enjoyed it, Stu? That's the question.
No, and I really, really bloody enjoyed it. So, it just scratched my itch. So, yeah, really, really enjoyed that.
Good. And I must admit, I was listening to a retro podcast that I listened to about them going back to the Star Wars Battlefront again for May the 4th, that it has a resurgence and a spike in players and how good Battlefront is. The most recent version of it that came out not long ago, and that Galactic Battle coming out on Fortnite, I was like, ooh, that kind of is a double whammy then. It's a bit Battlefront-y, but in the world of Fortnite, so it might not be quite as hardcore or intense as Battlefront, but at least scratches that itch of you feel like you're in a big Star Wars epic battle. So I haven't jumped into it yet, but again, with it being that time now, I know what I'm doing after we finished here. Sit on the sofa, stick that Droid Tycoon in the background, and then let's see how many hours I can waste in there this evening.
Well, you might do that, or I've just remembered I think they're doing Power Hour again. I think they're doing I think it's 8 p.m. on a Saturday night. They seem to be doing Power Hour at the moment. So we need to finish the podcast in 12 minutes so you can jump on.
I should wrap it up pretty quickly. Yeah,
we should do what Jez Corden does whilst he's doing his podcast, which one of us plays computer games in the background while the other one talks.
Yeah, so, why not?
Definitely.
Why not?
Right, so that is what we've been playing, and now we will get onto the news. But before we get onto the news, if you are enjoying this podcast, please rate, review, or comment wherever you're watching or listening to this podcast, as it means a lot to us and helps us get viewed by other people in the algorithm. We are actually, I did learn of a new little feature that we have on the audio podcast, so not YouTube, but on the audio podcast, which is within the link of this podcast. There is there's a button which says something like send us your feedback or leave a note or something like that. And Buzzsprout, the people that host this podcast for us, they've actually made it so you can leave a voicemail. So if you are
That's cool.
Yeah, so if you are listening to this show and if you are enjoying this, or you have a question or you have a point of view, obviously I won't put everything out. So if you think too that Steve is sitting too close to the camera today,
there's too much Fortnite answered.
there's too much Fortnite.
We won't feature that.
Yeah, tomorrow after this podcast goes out, I'm gonna have 17 messages from Mr. Chesson in Tunbridge Wells.
Yep.
So if you click on that, you have the ability to record a voicemail, and if the voicemail's good and we like it and it's a good question, then we will play said voicemail out on the show. I know we did speak to Anthony about doing an Xbox predictions show ahead of the showcase in June. So I need to look at when our diaries are lined up for that. So if you have got any predictions you're thinking about for the Xbox showcase, maybe around Fable, maybe around Project Helix, maybe around Xbox exclusivity, or about the PS6 or anything like that, anything you might think what could cover Summer Games Fest, then again, drop us a message, drop us a comment, or leave a voicemail, and the good ones we'll play out from the show. So getting on to the news, the first news story is with you, and it's about Game Pass going down.
Yeah, which it's almost like we kind of predicted that this was going to happen. On the last episode, we were talking about Game Pass and different variations, because obviously, as we said in that show, that Sharma said that Game Pass isn't in its final iteration. There are options that they're looking at in terms of how to make it more affordable, more appealing, that sort of thing. And was it within the space of a week of us having that recording and
If
releasing
that
the
long.
pod? If that, it was like, damn it, we've missed the big news story again. It went down, and it's gone down in price, which obviously any price reduction is always very, very welcome. It's very rare that something will go down in price in this day and age. Everything seems to be going up in price. So obviously we were saying that in terms of depending on what you use Game Pass for, if you use obviously the battle pack, the crew pack for Fortnite, it makes it a bit more fruitful in terms of a bit more cost effective, because obviously that alone is a tenner. But yeah, it is going down in price. So in the UK, especially, it's going down from $22.99 to $16.99. That is the UK Game Pass Ultimate, and PC Game Pass is going to £10.99 from £13.49. And I think in the US, is it from $29.99 in dollars to $22.99? I think is that right?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
So yeah, so it's so obviously this is not long after they increased the price, which again we touched on. But this obviously comes with a caveat, as that again we discussed this in the last show. So thank you for making us look silly. Is that the price went up to accommodate the acquisition of Call of Duty. That is now dropped, which then accounts for the reduction in price of Game Pass. So Call of Duty will not be available day one on launch through Game Pass. Previous versions will be, but the latest game will come a year later on Game Pass, which I'm happy with. We discussed this previously, that Call of Duty is not the game that it used to be, that we used to play, and we jumped at day one, that we'd go out and rush to buy it because the campaign isn't what it used to be. The online multiplayer is not what it used to be, in our opinion, obviously. But again, it seemed like that as it came to light, the price went up to almost soften the blow of the lack of revenue from Call of Duty releasing day one and people buying on Xbox. So, and overwhelmingly, people seem to agree. From what I've been reading in terms of what we've put out, the comments I've seen on news articles, reactions, is that everyone seems to welcome this, that they're not bothered about Call of Duty. They're not buying Game Pass or subscribing to Game Pass for Call of Duty. It's great that Xbox and Microsoft has it, but that's not the mainstay. They're not there for that. So the fact that they're saving this money by it not being there, people don't really seem to be that bothered.
Well, I think it's so. Yes, I mean, I think if if COD was a bit more predictable, like you knew that every year it was going to be a banger, but it was just going to be a banger in the real world, a banger in Modern Warfare, or even a banger in World War II, like it used to be. I miss the World War II games and that.
Oh, definitely.
So I think that if you knew it was going to be like that good, I think it warranted it. But I mean, for a game that basically costs anything from $100 million to $500 million to make, they could have only have looked at the figures and gone, look, we're not going to be making our money back by including this in Game Pass. And people that want to play it day one will still buy it. I potentially will still buy it day one. I think I'll be more averse to listening to the reviews after last year's one that I still haven't even bothered playing because it just annoyed me so much getting into it. But no, I mean, looking at the story, they are going, it's still 35 more expensive than Game Pass was 2 years ago. But hey, everything's more expensive. And I had listened to a few people, which I quite agree with. So again, I've referenced it on it a few times, but with my EE contract for my mobile, I get to choose a perk. So I choose Game Pass as my perk, but this is the sort of what I want to get on with it, is that within my perk, so I pay I think it's what, £25 a month or £35 a month for my EE mobile SIM, my broadband, not my phone. And then I get to pick a perk. So that perk is I can have Game Pass. That perk is I can have Apple One, I think, or I can have what's now HBO Sports. So what was TNT Sports, and I pick my perk. So I think a lot of people are saying that, well, look, why don't you do it at 20.99? Maybe drop it a little bit, or keep it at 22.99. And let us choose our perk. So if we want Game Pass day one, then that's our perk. If we want Fortnite Crew, that's our perk. But then also add some other perks in there. So maybe add Netflix as a perk. So if we want to have Netflix with ads, then you can add that. If you want to add, I can't remember the name of the game now, the like, World of Warcraft. Like, if you want to add like a World of Warcraft or some of the other IP that Microsoft own, then basically put that in as a perk. But just sort of like give people the choice to choose what they would want to have. I mean, let's face it, you look at Sky here in the UK now, Sky is a dying platform in respects of Sky Television. Everybody's moving app based. You can't buy Sky Q now, which comes via the satellite. You have to get Sky Stream, but they've just signed up now. So as a Sky subscriber, I get Netflix, Disney, HBO, and Heya with adverts all as part of my subscription. So I think maybe that's something that Xbox should think of doing. Like, have Game Pass, throw in Netflix as your perk. Have Game Pass, throw COD in as your perk.
Yeah, well, that's it. And like say that we've got Sky in the same, and as soon as it was like, oh, you can have, Disney Plus is going to be included. Brilliant, that saved us some money. Or did it? It's almost like, again, we were with O2 previously before moving Sky. You could have bolt-ons, is what they called it. So you could bolt these things onto your existing contract, and again, for a reduced price, you'd add these things on and tack it onto your contract. And like you say, that Game Pass in its base format, whatever that base format is, like you say, that's £6 a month. Add this for an extra £5. Add this for da-da-da, and add this da-da-da. And even if they didn't call Game Pass or whatever, the Xbox, a bit like Sky, became, this is your platform, this is your one-stop shop for streaming, for gaming, for TV, for movies, for Spotify, anything like that. They can say, right, your Game Pass, that's what that is, and stick this on. Like you say, your console, it's almost the vision that Xbox had when the Xbox One first came out, and they got a bit lambasted and lauded for it because the integration wasn't quite there. They were trying to make your Xbox a TV, and you put your TV via HDMI and and obviously, like, even then, TV was going to be not redundant, but obviously everything was going app based and internet based. So again, it wasn't really a future proof or a very something that had a lot of longevity. So yeah, so if they became that thing, and obviously whether they did it again, like they could, is it some Samsung TVs you can get the Xbox app on? Is that right?
Samsung
Some
and
TVs
LG.
you can get it on. Yeah. So again, if they became more of a prevalent thing on other smart TVs, like, right, you go on the Xbox app or whatever app it'll be, everything's in there for whatever you subscribe to, and it's in that own little ecosystem. Then, well, yeah, that might be a future potential for getting people in that, I can have, like you say, Netflix, it should be a tenner a month by rights, but if I do it through Game Pass, it'll be a fiver a month, so again, if you're saving a bit of money buying these little deals, it brings people in as well, I've got Xbox and I've got this and I've got that. So again, like the previous new article said, this Game Pass isn't in its final form. What that final form will be, who's to say? But clearly, they aren't shy and afraid of making these big decisions early on. Sharma's been in this job, 6 months? something like that.
Not that long.
And she's
Don't even think it's that
even
long.
not that long. Again, she, already made some really not controversial but big decisions that people might have been scared of previously. Whereas now, and overall, it seems to have had a positive impact and a positive reception for what they've done so far.
Well, I think obviously because Phil's still working with her, I believe, until the summer. And the old saying, new broom sweeps clean. And I actually think, without annoyingly, without trying to throw Phil under the bus, which I think a lot of people are saying, that it's much better without Phil being around. He did a lot. I believe he was one of the reasons that Xbox is still around. And Microsoft just didn't ditch it. And arguably, whatever you think about the Activision takeover, he was one of the main people responsible for it. But there is sometimes there is like, when it's not a gamer, when it's not a person that is necessarily from a gaming industry, they see things differently. A friend of mine brought a person into his business, a speaker manufacturer, distributor, and the guy that he brought in was not in this industry when he brought him in. But he brought in some really good new ideas that actually, that person's now left and gone on to something else. But, this person is still using those ideas in that business because he came in as a business person, not as an AV business person. So I'm hoping this is the beginning. I mean, obviously the conference coming up, the showcase coming up could be quite interesting. But I think it could be very interesting. But do you want to know what's really interesting? Bordering on comical, I think, without trying to be very, very disrespectful. But my headline, are you ready for this one? You're not gonna if you've not read this, right? So I
have, and I didn't believe it.
No, I still don't believe it. But so the second story is by Sarah Fields at Game Rant. I have seen it in a few other places, but you ready for it? GameStop, yes, GameStop that has circumvented liquidation many times. So GameStop is preparing acquisition offer to buy eBay, claims report. Reading from this article, a new report indicates that GameStop is preparing to offer to buy eBay. If GameStop is successful, and it would be a particularly interesting sale as eBay has a considerably higher market value than GameStop. GameStop has been quite a tremendous experience over the decades, with the game retailer seeing its stock dramatically rise and fall. In 2001, GameStop experienced a short squeeze meme stock era, which if you've not seen it, there is a documentary on Netflix about it. I think it's Netflix. It's very, very interesting. Go and watch it, where their share price at one point reached a whopping $483. However, has since dropped to a market value of $20 to $30. Now, in a new report from the Wall Street Journal, sources have said that GameStop is preparing to make an offer to buy internet auction retailer eBay. The attempt apparently is being made in effort to turn GameStop into a 100 billion juggernaut, with an offer expected to be made no later than the end of May. Unfortunately, full details of the offers aren't known at this time, but the report is further cemented by current GameStop CEO Ryan Cohen's recent efforts to turn the company around. He previously told Wall Street Journal that he was looking into potential acquisitions in the consumer and retail sectors in particular, which falls in line with this report. Yeah. I'm not sure what to think about that. For someone that was just about to drop off a cliff face, I don't even know how they could buy eBay unless they have massive, backing from Saudi or Tencent or something like that. But
it just don't make it if the headline was reversed, I'd understand it. Like if eBay was buying GameStop, then yeah, again, it'd be a bit questionable. Why are eBay buying GameStop? Okay, fine, whatever. Yeah, they're acquiring a big brand. Maybe something valuable in there. I'd understand it, but I just don't understand it. It just, I mean, obviously, clearly, turn it into $100 billion plus juggernaut for what? Of what? It just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. Like you say, I saw it on the list and I was like, what? Surely they don't have the funds to buy eBay. Just looking at there, it's like GameStop has a market value of 11 billion, which still that surprises me. And eBay's got 45 billion value, which again I thought that would be higher, but again they've got nearly 4 times the valuation there, or over 4 times. Sorry, where are they getting that money from? Like, where are they getting the money to buy eBay? And I guess we just talked in the previous piece that coming from an external perspective to go into an industry or a market that's not yours or something that you're in, I'm guessing they'd leave eBay alone and not touch it or change it. But again, it just don't make any sense. I just can't fathom it, to be honest.
Well, if you put it into like, I don't, I'm not sure if Game are still around or their stores are still around, but it's almost like the same headline if you're a UK based listener of like Game buying eBay.
Yeah.
You walk. I mean, there's a picture on Games Rant which shows you the front of a GameStop, and if it's like the last time I walked into a game store, it's like an eBay shop, but in a physical form, i.e., it's just loads of stuff around gaming, very few games, but bobbleheads, merch and things like that you'd actually see more listed on eBay in an eBay retailer shop. So, yeah, I mean, I saw the report on Games Rant, I saw it on IGN and a few other places. So, but then again, I had a phone call last night from King Charles. He's basically said that he wants me to become the next king when he passes away. I can state that. It's not a fact until it actually happens.
No.
And that's quite, I mean, did you completely, I can't remember the name of the brand now, but there's Allbirds, the shoe brand. Did you see the story of that this week?
No.
I'm going to butcher this, but All Brands was basically a shoe company, I think mainly in America, and they were quite trendy shoes for especially a lot of the Silicon Valley lot. And they reached quite a high market cap, but all of a sudden their market value just went down and they were basically tanking. So let's say, their share price was let's say $10 a share. They then announced that they were going to sell off the rights to their shoes, and they were then going to rebrand themselves, and they were going to become an AI company. And then all of a sudden, literally within a matter of hours, if not a day, their share price went from $10 a share to $100 a share, and it made them like $100 million value company just by saying they were going to go into AI.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's bonkers, and this it has happened before, hasn't it? Where even just a suggestion or something like a comment, flippant comment, affects a company's valuation. It's crazy, isn't it? That they could be at the bones of the backside. And we're going to do this now. And they might not even do it. We might get into it. They might not. But they've made X amount of million from it. But yeah, it's just, I mean, even just muttering even just muttering it, will that, increase the value, change the value? I don't know. But yeah, it does. Like you say, Game, when they were still around, they got bundled into Sports Direct shops. But the few that were open were just, there was Lego, there was Pop Vinyls, there was Jigsaw, there was board games. They stopped doing second-hand trade-ins. So they stopped doing that. So it was just new games only, and then codes and digital and da-da-da.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm guessing it's the same there, is that actually video games plays a very small percentage in actually what they do now. So yeah, maybe that feeds into it. They could sell on eBay. There could be eBay shops. I don't know. Let's just see what happens. Let's watch this space.
Yeah, let's see what happens. I mean, I don't think it's going to materialize to anything, but yeah, we never know. You never know. It's a crazy, crazy world. So right, going on to the next story. The next story is about the PS5 digital catalog and with you.
Yes. So this initially came out as people sort of delved into the licensing, the terms and conditions, agreements of digital games and catalogs for the PlayStation and purchase through the PlayStation Store. So there was something in there that was written for having a 30-day license check. So in essence, it made it sound like a DRM feature that made it sound like you had to check in every 30 days online to make sure that you could access your gaming catalogue. So unless you did that, you'd not be able to access it after 30 days. So, of course, most things now are connected to the internet. Pretty much everything is always online now. But there are obviously people that don't want to do that. For obvious reasons, they'll install the game, update it, and they might go offline and just play offline for whatever reason. But this kind of raised eyebrows of like, ooh, actually, am I going to have to now make sure my PS5 is always plugged in, it's always connected to the internet? If I don't, am I going to be able to access the games, that sort of thing? So it has transpired since that Sony have come out and said that it's a one-time thing. So you have to basically do an online check for your purchase to validate it.
Right.
But beyond that, there's nothing further. You don't have to keep checking in every 30 days. Now, whether that's a response to people's reaction or not, because that response didn't come out straight away. That was kind of a bit of a delayed thing after maybe the dust had settled a little bit and people had obviously posted a lot online about it. And as with anything, with any sort of change to people's rights and access to content and things, there's always going to be a bit of uproar in regards to it. And maybe they slightly tweaked it, backtracked it, I'm not sure. But obviously, again, Xbox and Microsoft tried to do this at the launch of the Xbox One, that there was going to be this sort of DRM thing that made you had to always be online. You couldn't share games. Even if you bought a physical copy of a game, it was yours. You couldn't share it, and da-da-da. So they had to backtrack on that. So whether they've done that as well, I'm not sure. Is piracy really a big thing in this day and age? You know what I mean? It's that I don't know. I don't know enough about it. That is it possible to really pirate games in this day and age? That there's bogus and pirated copies of games floating about, that they need to do this? I'm not sure, but I mean, there's clearly is a reason for doing it in some capacity. But yeah, it seems that it's not quite as strict as what people thought it was going to be initially. But still, there is at least some sort of online validation that you have to validate your purchase initially before you can then go and access it at your free will thereafter.
I mean, I know when I went to Manchester recently, I had to connect the ROG to the internet to allow me to play the game that I wanted to play. It wouldn't play. It just said, you're not connected to the internet, you can't play this game, which was slightly disappointing. But I don't know whether it's possible to, with Xbox as well, I don't know whether it's possible to sort of like load games onto the Xbox or a PlayStation, then, technically, I deal with clients that own yachts, and we have a system called Kaleidoscape. So you can buy a movie, put it onto your Kaleidoscape, and then basically take that server onto a yacht where you have no internet connection and still watch your movie library. So I don't know whether it's possible that, you could download games onto a PS5 or an Xbox Series, take those onto an offline surface like a yacht or a hotel room that's not connected to an internet, and play them. But you could keep on doing it, because could you download the same copy of the game onto 5 different PS5s and then flog those on with the content on it, meaning that the person never has to pay for the content? I don't think so, but maybe I don't. But yeah, I mean, looking at the tech radar, it made me laugh when it came down halfway down. It went to a Reddit report, and it goes, Hemlock Desi goes, please be fake, please be fake, please be fake. And then the next person goes, didn't Sony make fun of Microsoft for trying to attempt to do this with of the Xbox One? And yeah, they're right. In 2013, they run the whole short video on how to share a game on PS4 and took the Michael out of them. But yeah, it seems to be that, I don't know what's going on at Sony, but they seem to be the ones at the moment, on occasions, shooting themselves in the foot. They've not had a particularly great year in putting out first-party games. And then this is not really going to help the cause of the next generations. But this is how gaming works, isn't it? Sort of like, Microsoft had a really good 360, and then the PS4 was better. And it's always, the one who, I hate to use the term, but the one who's considered to be the top dog in the consoling wars always is the one that seems to shoot themselves in the foot ahead of the next series of console war consoles coming out.
The one thing that I hadn't considered that I've just looked at actually is to prevent people getting refunds. So in essence,
right,
going online, buying it, downloading it, going offline, and then maybe being on another console or on online on via web or what have you, then requesting a refund, but then still keeping the game offline. So I think it's once you've checked that license, and regardless if you're online or offline, once you've basically certified that this is your copy of the game, you can no longer request a refund. So that's one thing that I didn't think of, that will stop that doing it basically. But um, yeah, again, whether that means that you can't do the, like you've done with Xbox games a couple of times, I've tried it, didn't like it, get a refund. Whether that means that's an outright no, you've certified it, you validated your license. Sorry, you can't request a refund now. But yeah, it seems that that's one of the things that it's trying to clamp down on, which maybe there's been a lot of people doing that. I don't know.
Okay, so the next story is with me, and it's are we getting an Atomfall TV show? So this, if I bring my screen down, so this is off Eurogamer. So the headline is 3.7 million players later, UK-made action survivor game Atomfall is getting its own TV show. Today, publisher, so this was on the 30th of April. So today, publisher Rebellion has announced that that its 2025 survival game Atomfall is the latest game to make the transition from console to the TV screen. Rebellion and Two Brothers Pictures has announced a TV adaptation of the Atomfall game.
That went very northern.
I went very northern, didn't it?
Adaptation.
Up from Yorkshire. See, I've got to go to Edinburgh in a few weeks. I'm coming up that way too much.
You've got to meet in middle somewhere, Stu. You've got to stop off here.
I will try and stop off on my way back. One day we'll have to do a live in person one together somehow. Yeah, so TV adaptation Atomfall, which won Best British Game at this year's BAFTAs, which we talked on the last show. But no casting or release window has been said yet. It's already some interesting talent attached to the show behind the scenes. However, this series will be written by Emmy and Golden Globes winning producer duo Harry and Jack Williams, credited on Fleabag, The Assassin, The Missing, Baptiste, The Tourist, and the exclusive produced by the pair plus Alex Mercier, The Assassin, and Myers Terrorist, and Doctor Who. Only one of those I know is Doctor Who. So yeah, I mean, you played, didn't you? You played Atomfall. You quite liked it, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, to be honest with you. Yeah, and it's almost a bit like Fallout E. The bit like it's loosely based on a real nuclear disaster that happened, the Windfall disaster that happened in the Lake District, which I didn't realise was a thing until I actually played Atomfall.
Right.
So it's based in the Lake District, fictional. There's like a few like based off the Lake District, but fictional villages and environments that are up there.
Oh yeah, 1957 it's got here, yeah.
Yeah, which I didn't realise was a thing, to be honest with you, because I've been going to the Lake District for years and I didn't realise it was a thing. But yeah, this nuclear power plant has had this disaster. There's some supernatural things going on. So again, it's a little bit like there's like the Fallout TV series, that there's the storyline for the Fallout games, but within the Fallout universe, there's a whole lot of other stuff that can go on as a TV series, as books, comics, all sorts of things. And Atomfall lends itself quite nicely to that as well, I'd say, because again, there's the plot line that happens in the game, but again, there's a lot of nonsense that could go in Atomfall that is very similar to Fallout. You see these things in the game, they could easily spin off some of the stories that are in the game and make them their own thing. So I'd be really interested in watching that, actually, to be fair, because I really enjoyed the game. I don't know if that's because it had that sort of unique British charm and it was based in the Lake District, but a bit clunky, not perfect, but again, just something a bit different. So again, like Fallout, loved Fallout, absolutely loved that. So watching the TV series, I was always going to do that. So being able to live in that world and expand that world, hopefully there'll be an Atomfall 2, there'll be a sequel in some capacity. But yeah, just being able to stay in that world and live in that world, that'll be great.
I think I did about 1 or 2 hours into it. I can't remember why now. I fell off of it, but yeah, I agree. The sort of like, when you like went through the tunnels to go to another area, and then you sort of like, it was very English, UK based, and I could see the setting of it being, it's one of those games. Yeah, they could take over Windermere, let's say, and they could just distress it and make it look all 1957s and quite easily shoot it around sort of like the Lake District and places like that. But no, I did like the game. I say I can't remember why I fell off of it, but no, I think it could make an interesting TV show, and there does seem to be more and more TV shows coming out. I mean, I finished Fallout, and although I didn't think it was as good as the first season, I did actually quite enjoy it at the end. When they were fighting the Razor Claws or whatever it was, the actor in the
Death Claws
armor
at the end,
and all that lot, and I did quite enjoy it towards the end. That's it, yeah. I did quite enjoy it towards the end. So, but yeah, so maybe that's another, Prime Video or Netflix TV series coming our way. So that's something to look forward to. And then we really are covering all of our game console bases this week. So the next story is PC based, and it's about a new controller from Steam.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I think the only thing we need to do is maybe look at a Nintendo or Switch content. But yeah, we're even chucking a bit of PC in there, which isn't bad for two people that don't really game on PC. But yeah, it's Valve's new Steam controller. So it was just something that I saw flicking through the feed on Instagram and TikTok and that sort of thing. And it's one of these things, isn't it? Like, PC gaming has always been like PC Master Race and blah blah blah, and mouse and keyboard and rah. But obviously, since there's there's like Steam Machine and things are coming out and more accessible, it's in your living room. Bit of Steam control before, but this one is obviously again making that PC element of gaming more accessible. So if you're playing, console games or some things that have been a console, to make that transition a little bit easier. But these, albeit it doesn't work with your console, so you won't be able to hook up to your PS or your Xbox. You can use it for connecting to like your iPad for cloud gaming, streaming, that sort of thing. And again, as an extra controller, or as an alternate controller, so you don't have to keep flitting between, my Xbox controller's connected to my iPad, now I have to put it back to Xbox and vice versa. It's a good option, and it blends those elements of PC and controller by having the touchpads on there.
Yeah.
It's got these two touchpads and trackpads where your thumbs would be, as it were. So again, if you're playing sort of like RTS games, anything that traditionally would be on mouse and keyboard, you've got that easy access from there. So it's a bit more intuitive in terms of the location of them, rather than the PlayStation where it's got the bar, the pad in the middle of the console, the controller. Sorry, these are where your thumbs would be, just underneath the thumbsticks. So again, that makes it a little bit more intuitive. And again, obviously, you can use mouse and keyboard on Xbox, but obviously this doesn't connect to it. But we're seeing this transition of making games more accessible on different platforms, and I think this is just trying to bridge that gap. It's got the extra function buttons on the back, so like you get on the Elite controllers, so it's got the extra buttons if you play shooters, you want to map more functions to it, again, like you'd have access to if you play mouse and keyboard. But overwhelmingly, everything that I've seen, it is a bit cost heavy. It's £85 in the UK, which, you can pick up an Xbox controller for about £50-ish. If you buy the box standard ones, about 50 quid off Amazon, something like that. Probably same for the, the standard DualShock. But if you go into the Elites, the more expensive ones, they're clocking it around maybe £100 plus.
Yeah, I think
so
they're
£85.
Yeah, they're quite expensive. They are.
Yeah, so 85 quid. Granted, again, this can't connect to your console. You can't stick this on the Xbox or the PlayStation. But again, if you are playing more casually on the PC, like me, your cloud game, I've got one of these Mamba controllers which I game with on the iPad, so I don't use my my Xbox controller as a secondary controller or an alternative. If you want to play things, access PC Game Pass, for cloud streaming, this is a great option. And overwhelmingly, the reviews and the reception has been really good. Every platform. This is on Eurogamer. This article that we've quoted here, but again, I've seen IGN, a load of other platforms and places reviewing it, video and written. It's almost like the perfect controller. Granted, it's a bit of a niche thing to buy, from its usage if you can't connect it to other consoles and things, but it seems to be a very good hybrid of bridging that gap between console and PC.
Well, I think I was listening to Kind of Funny the other day, and I think I think it was Tim Geddes that got his one, and a few of the guys. It was being passed around, and everybody sort of like was quite enjoying it and quite liking the feel of it. So yeah, I mean, I just looked on Amazon. I can't see it on Amazon, even though it's saying it's coming out on the 4th of May. So, but what I would say is you don't want to buy the new Steam controller. What you want to do is potentially look at eBay at some point next week, and you might find a shed load of controllers up there for sale. As I have migrated my controller collection from my office, which is sat in boxes for the last 2 years, and I've decided that I think I'm going to get rid of some of them. I have sat longingly looking at the Forza Horizon 6 controller this week and going, no, you don't need it. And I concurred that no, I don't need it, because my Forza Horizon 5 controller is sitting on the dock over in the side, and today and most days I use the Starfield controller. So I think I've decided that my love affair and lifelong collection of the Xbox controller is coming to an end. I might keep some of them. The one that James sorted out for me. Maybe some of like the God of War Elite controller, which is almost impossible to get hold of, and my one's still brand new. They might stay in my collection, but anybody who wants Minecraft or Fortnite or some Halo or Gears of War, you might find them on eBay soon, and I will put a link to my account in the description if anybody wants to pick up some rare controllers. So yes,
you could open a museum. That's what you should do. We should charge people to come look at them.
Yeah, I should have a nice little museum. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so right, that's it. That's the end of the show on that note. So thank you for everybody for listening. Thank you, Steve, for spending your Saturday night with me again.
Pleasure, mate, as always.
Where can people find you on your podcasting, YouTube, social media and platforms?
Yeah, so pretty much SteveCarter91 everywhere. So that's PlayStation, Xbox, YouTube and Instagram. Annoyingly, it's SteveCarter1991 on TikTok, but it's not too dissimilar. But yeah, if you search SteveCarter91, I will probably search and come up in anywhere that you'll be able to find me.
Excellent. So I am general letdown on Xbox and PlayStation, but as you probably get from this podcast, I'm mainly on Xbox. And if you want to come and see me over on social media, I am at Mr. Stuart Burgess. As we said, we now have a feature within the audio podcasting where you can leave us a voice note, so please do so, or leave a comment or message wherever you are listening or watching this. If you have any feedback and you want to do it by old-fashioned email, then hello@gamersoftheLostSpark.com is our email address. And yeah, thank you, Steve, and we'll see you all again in a couple of weeks.
No, thank you, mate. Pleasure as always. Thank you for listening and watching.
Excellent. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.